Hi everybody. Welcome to elsiebo. On my first video, I got a comment asking me to make a video on the Taylor Swift karma theory, so here I am making that video. I'm sure a lot of you watching know exactly what the karma theory is, but some of you might not. What I'm gonna do today is explain what the karma theory is, and what evidence there is to support it, and then I'm going to debunk every single piece of evidence. Obviously, I personally don't believe that the karma theory is real, but a lot of people do, and I still see Swifties talking about it regularly. So hopefully you all find this video interesting, and if you want to support me, please comment, like, subscribe, and check out my other videos. Let's get into it. So the karma theory is the idea that Taylor Swift has a secret lost album which was never released. It's theorized that this album would have been TS6 and would have been released after 1989 instead of Reputation. Some say that the album would have been called Karma, although it's important to note that a lot of people who believe in the lost album theory don't think it would have been called Karma. For the sake of simplicity though, I'll refer to it as Karma. Up until this point, Taylor released an album every 2 years, almost like clockwork. Not only was there an album every 2 years, but they were released on almost the same date every year. Her debut album was released on October 24, 2006, Fearless on November 11, 2008, Speak Now on October 25, 2010, Red on October 22, 2012, and 1989 on October 27, 2014. Each of these albums were released at the end of October with the exception of Fearless, which was around 2 weeks later. We don't really know exactly why Taylor had such a strict schedule for releasing albums, but since this was her pattern when she was signed to the record label Big Machine, and she was still under Big Machine in 2016, many fans predicted that her 6th studio album would release in October 2016. In her documentary Miss Americana, Taylor says that while she was signed to Big Machine Records, her life was always planned 2 years in advance, further suggesting that an album would have been planned. Another pattern indicating an imminent release is that Taylor had a pattern of changing her hair before a new album came out. She got bangs cut before the release of Red and cut her hair short before the release of 1989. So when Taylor's look changed again in 2016, and she suddenly bleached her hair and started wearing darker makeup and edgier outfits, fans thought this was the beginning of her next era, and that an album would drop later that year as predicted. As many of you know, Taylor was essentially cancelled in summer 2016 due to hate from Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, Calvin Harris, and Katy Perry, among others. Taylor began dating Joe Alwyn around this time and moved to London so she could pursue a relationship with him privately. Taylor essentially went into hiding and was barely seen for the next year, before releasing her 6th album Reputation in November 2017. Reputation addressed the events of the summer of 2016 and her reputation collapsing. Taylor documented the process of making Reputation, and we know that she started with making Gorgeous and King of My Heart in September 2016, after her reputation had fallen apart. The karma theory states that Taylor did have another album ready to be released that year, but the events of the summer led Taylor to scrap the album and begin working on a different one, which ended up being Reputation. We know that all of the songs on Reputation were recorded from September 2016 onwards, which leaves us with the question of what music was Taylor making in the 2 years between 1989's release, in October 2014, and September 2016 when she started Reputation. I think it's pretty obvious that Taylor was definitely working on music in this period, but the debate over the karma theory is whether or not she had a full album ready to be released. The name Karma came from a scene in Taylor's music video for The Man, when all of Taylor's album titles are graffitied on a wall along with the word karma, leading many who already believed in a lost album to think that it was called Karma. However, like I said, a lot of people believe that there was a secret album, but don't think Karma was the title. So I'm going to talk about each individual piece of evidence in favor of the karma theory, and then I'm going to give opposing arguments for each. Firstly, I'll explain the main reasons people believe in this theory, and things which people consider hints towards karma. I've already spoke about how Taylor released an album every 2 years and was due to release another in October 2016. Based on this pattern, Taylor bleached her hair in April, which was debuted in Vogue. She also started being seen wearing much more edgy outfits and darker makeup, which was a huge change from what she had previously been wearing. There were already signs that Taylor was heading in a rockier direction, such as her debuting a rock remix of We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together in late 2015 on the 1989 tour, performing an electric guitar version of Wildest Dreams around the same time, wearing darker and edgier outfits, and her performing with Mick Jagger. Once Taylor got even edgier with her new look, people suspected that this change in appearance was indicative of her next era, which fans speculate would have had a rock element to it, similar to the rockier music she had been performing. The next piece of evidence came in Taylor's Vogue interview where she says the phrase, "karma is real," when asked what something is that everyone should know. This seems fairly innocuous, but the reason people freaked out about it was because karma is capitalized in Vogue's official subtitles. We all know that Taylor loves dropping Easter eggs, and she does have a history of using capitalized letters or interesting ways of typing words as Easter eggs. So many thought that karma was the title of something and was hinting towards something in the future, possibly an album. Years later, when the music video for The Man released, and karma was painted on the wall, many began linking the music video to the Vogue interview and thought that the theorized lost album was called Karma. Speaking of the shot from The Man, the word karma is spray painted in between 1989 and Reputation, which many think is a hint that karma would have been released in between those albums. Furthermore, karma is next to a missing sign, potentially hinting that it is missing. Karma is also painted in orange, which fans speculated would have been the color scheme for this album. Each Taylor Swift album has a specific color scheme, and so far, Taylor hasn't released an orange album, with some fans thinking that karma would have been orange. This was allegedly hinted at more in the music video for Look What You Made Me Do. Taylor is seen wearing orange and is inside a cage, like the orange is trapped, supposedly representing karma being trapped and unreleased. Similarly, she sings the line, "All I think about is karma," while inside a vault, again as if karma is trapped. Finally, at the end of the video, a bunch of reiterations of Taylor are seen wearing her iconic outfits. There is one Taylor at the back who is wearing an outfit we don't recognize, meaning she is a mystery Taylor. She is standing on top of a plane which has TS6 on it. She cuts the wing off and paints the word Reputation, which to karma believers meant cutting off the original TS6, which would have been karma, and replacing it with Reputation. Fans also think that the mystery Taylor wearing palm trees would have been the aesthetic for the karma era, which matches the Bleachella photo of Taylor with her bleached hair in front of palm trees. Another piece of evidence is that in Taylor's 2019 AMA performance, she wears an outfit with her album titles printed on it. Around her 8 children dance. At the time, she had 7 albums, and some speculate that the 8 children represent her 8 albums, one of which being the unreleased Karma album. Since Taylor is currently in the process of re-recordings, some have speculated that Taylor will release a double album, and release Karma alongside Reputation. In the 2021 music video for I Bet You Think About Me, Taylor is seen drawing 2 lines in the cake, representing double. 26 is also shown on the cake, which is double Taylor's favorite number 13. There was also another rumor about an alleged unreleased album called Woodvale. Taylor revealed that Woodvale was the codename she used for folklore, meaning even if karma does mean something, it could be a codename. Taylor publicly denounced the Woodvale theory and called it false in a Jimmy Kimmel interview. Taylor has never publicly said that the karma theory was wrong, leading some to believe that there is truth in it. Finally, the last piece of evidence is that Taylor has no songs which are explicitly about her boyfriend Calvin Harris. At the time, Calvin had been her longest relationship, so fans found it odd that she never wrote about it. One explanation is that the songs she wrote about him were on Karma, which never got released. It's also important to say that Taylor and Calvin did work together on at least one song, This Is What You Came For, and it is possible that they worked on other songs for Taylor. If these songs were made after 1989, it makes sense that Taylor wouldn't want to release them, since they would be collaborations with her ex. So hopefully I've made it clear what all the arguments in favor of the karma theory are. Now I'm gonna talk about each individual piece of evidence and debunk it, to show that the karma theory is false. I should make it clear that although I don't believe in the karma theory at all, Taylor definitely recorded music between 1989 and September 2016 which has never been heard. And I think we'll get a lot of that music in the 1989 vault or Reputation vault. My personal belief is that Karma was never an album, or a song, or a codename for anything. You can see here that there are 12 main pieces of evidence that I have explained already. I'm gonna go through each one and debunk it. So firstly, the fact that Taylor released an album every 2 years and was expected to release one around October 2016. Normally, I would agree with this. But Taylor's 5th album, 1989, was such an anomaly. It's difficult to put into words for people who are too young to remember the 1989 era, but Taylor was astronomically successful. Taylor was at risk of becoming overexposed and said she was planning on taking a break anyway. Taylor was still releasing singles in late February 2016, only a few months before Karma was supposedly meant to come out. Since Taylor normally released her lead single in August, this would mean that there would only be 6 months between the 1989 era and Karma, which seems unlikely. In a Rolling Stone interview, Taylor said, "After 1989, I didn't really write anything. I was like, where do we go from here? I have no idea what comes after this. And so, when my life took a very dramatic shift, all of a sudden, I knew what to make next." Taylor is of course talking about the summer of 2016 inspiring her next album, so unless Taylor is lying, this almost single-handedly disproves the Karma theory. Taylor's bleached hair definitely indicated a shift in her life. However, I don't think Taylor was trying to hint at a new album. Taylor debuted her bleached hair in April 2016 and dyed it back to her natural shade in late June, weeks before she was cancelled and had to go into hiding. The Karma theory heavily revolves around the idea that Karma was due to be released in October and was only cancelled after Taylor's drama with Kim and Kanye and Calvin in July. So, why would she get rid of the bleached hair in June if that was the aesthetic of her next album? It doesn't make sense. I think the bleached hair and edgier clothing was either an attempt to fit in with her boyfriend Calvin's lifestyle, since he was a DJ and she started partying more and going to Coachella while she was with him, or Taylor was just trying to signal that the 1989 era was over. The graffiti wall in The Man seems like it's hinting towards something, but I truly believe Karma is not a hint towards anything. Taylor had recently found out that her first 6 albums were sold to Scooter Braun and was planning to re-record them, which would harm Scooter financially, hence the word karma. Taylor was simply sending a message to Scooter that he won't get away with what he'd done to her, hence the no Scooter sign. This is also why Taylor's 7th album Lover is not written on the wall, because she already owned it and the wall was a message to Scooter about reclaiming her first 6 albums, not a hint towards anything new. I think Karma just happened to be placed in the center to draw attention to it, and it's only coincidental that it's next to the missing sign or in between 1989 and Reputation. Now I want to debunk the look what you made me do theories. The line "all I think about is karma" is simply a reference to the vindictive themes of Reputation, and Taylor wanting to get back at Kim, Kanye, and the media for turning on her. The fact that she is inside a vault is a reference to Taylor being called greedy and money-hungry for pushing streaming services to pay artists more, as shown by the reference to streaming companies above the door. It also wouldn't make sense for Taylor to say that all she thinks about is Karma the album if she voluntarily chose to scrap it. The TS6 on the plane is part of Taylor revealing the album's title. Before people knew that it was called Reputation, it was referred to as TS6. Taylor cutting this off and painting Reputation is her revealing the album title. I also think the act of Taylor using a chainsaw was simply to show how her next era was going to be vindictive and aggressive, with her getting back at those who had wronged her. The palm outfit doesn't have any significance in my opinion. Taylor is wearing thigh-high boots, which was a recent trend at the time, so I think it's simply a reference to current Taylor and her implying that this is the new Reputation era Taylor. Around the time that Taylor would have had to make Karma, her hair was usually straight. I think the wavy hair in the video shows that she is referencing Reputation era Taylor, who normally kept her hair wavy. The orange cage scene is not a reference to a Trapped album. She is wearing orange, which is the color of prisoners' clothing in the United States, and the cage links with the lyrics she sings in the scene, which reference her feeling like she was locked out of the kingdom, presumably meaning the crowd of A-list celebrities who are popular with the public. She references Kim and Kanye locking her out, which is what the cage represents. Finally, I'll debunk some of the dumber evidence for Karma. Taylor saying, "Karma is real," was not a reference to an album. This interview was filmed in February 2016, a few weeks after the initial debate about Kanye's song Famous began. Kanye called Taylor in January, although the footage wasn't released until July. Kanye said that Taylor approved a line where he calls her the B-word and Taylor said that this was a lie. This caused massive backlash back and forth. On the 15th of February, Taylor won Album of the Year at the Grammys and used her speech to criticize Kanye. She was planning on getting back at him all along, which is why she hinted Karma is real in her Vogue interview, because it was a message to Kanye. The 8 kids on stage with her at the AMAs is just a reach. It's purely coincidental that there are 8 kids, and it was probably done for symmetry, so there would be 4 on each side of Taylor. The double lines in the I Bet You Think About Me music video were not a hint at a double album, but an Easter egg for the Joker and the Queen, as the 2 lines make an equal sign, which is the name of Ed Sheeran's album which features Taylor. Finally, the point about her having no songs about Calvin is interesting. I think Taylor definitely wrote about him during their relationship, which was between 1989 and Reputation. However, I don't think there was ever a full album of songs ready to be released. Frankly, the timeline just doesn't make much sense. Why would Taylor get rid of her bleached hair if she was planning on a Bleachella era? How could Taylor finish a full album when she was still releasing 1989 singles? And most importantly, why would Taylor call an album Karma before the Kanye incident? Nothing had happened to her yet. There was no reason for her to make an album getting back at anyone. Overall, I think 1989 was such an overwhelming era and Taylor was going to take a longer break no matter what. I think she wrote songs after 1989 that never formed a full album, and then her relationship with Joe and the summer of 2016 gave her the inspiration she needed to make Reputation. I hope I explained everything thoroughly and you enjoyed the video. Please comment, like, subscribe and watch my other videos to support me, and I'll see you next time.